Hey guys, Bios and Ramos, and as you can see from behind me, we are in LA for this game preview uh, outside of SoFi Stadium. Pretty cool stadium, first time ever seeing it in person, and it's pretty huge. The whole campus is pretty cool. But that's not what you guys are here for. You guys want to know what's going on in this matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams. Big Monday Night Football matchup. It's on Veterans Day, November 11th. Kickoff is 8:15 Eastern. Anyone in LA or the West Coast in Pacific time, it is 5:15 Eastern, which is a crazy concept. You know, just always being on the East Coast, 8:15 night time, prime time. For them, most people are just getting out of work. It's pretty funny. But aside from that, big time matchup for this Miami Dolphins team, and they're facing a pretty tough team in the Los Angeles Rams, who are 4-4. Meanwhile, Dolphins coming into this matchup 2-6, and things have not been in their favor, especially in the last couple of games. Losing by a single possession in the last 3 games is not optimal for this Miami Dolphins team, who has playoff aspirations, and now with their quarterback and Tua back, it needs to be better. They need to finish out and close out these games, and I am expecting another close, tight matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams in this matchup. So with that being said, let's get into this game preview. So, like I said, we have the Dolphins 2-6, Rams 4-4. Rams are competing for a top spot in the division, while the Dolphins are competing to just stay alive and see what can they make of this season. Now, it's a gauntlet of a run for this Miami Dolphins team, but it starts now here in LA in a big primetime moment, and that's enough to be said. We're going to go over some gambling lines. The Los Angeles Rams are favored by 1 in terms of the spread, so -1 for the Rams. Over-under set at 50.5, and then the money line is pretty close. Right now, it's in favor of the Los Angeles Rams at -115 and -105 for the Miami Dolphins. In terms of ESPN's matchup predictor, the Dolphins are favored at 44.9% chance of winning to the Los Angeles Rams 54.8. Other news is game time weather is looking like 68 degrees, so a little bit warmer than, it is at 5 o'clock over here, so the sun will be setting a little warmer, but it's going to instantly kick up to like the high 50s and stuff like that. Never been inside the stadium, so I don't know how it's going to be in terms of the feel. There was a time in the past where the Dolphins did play a primetime game against the Los Angeles Chargers, and they were using the heaters on the sideline. So let's see if that happens. We saw a good old Broward boy, Lamar Jackson, bundled up in 60-degree weather on Thursday Night Football against the Bengals. So aside from that, let's talk about some injuries, and there's a lot of injuries to talk about for both teams. But first, we're going to start with the Miami Dolphins. We have Cam Smith, cornerback, is listed as questionable. Same thing for Storm Duck, but he's dealing with an ankle injury. Javon Holland, safety. Please, we need him back in the lineup because the safety play has been a little bit subpar without him in the lineup. He's dealing with a knee injury, still questionable for this matchup. Zach Sealer, man, oh man, defensive tackle, we need you back. Dealing with that orbital fracture. He's going to be wearing a visor in his helmet moving forward for the rest of, more than likely, his career. He said he doesn't want that to happen ever against him. Also listed on the injury report is Tyreek Hill. He is questionable with a wrist injury. Hopefully we got that speed demon and Tyreek on the field. Other guys, Kader Kohu, cornerback, is questionable with a neck injury. Alec Ingold, fullback, is questionable for calf injury. Julian Hill, tight end, is questionable for shoulder injury. Emmanuel Ogba, outside linebacker, questionable. Robert Jones, guard, is questionable. So is Austin Jackson, guard. Teron Armstead, offensive tackle, questionable. And then we have some injury updates in terms of injury reserve, and that is Patrick McMorris, safety, has been activated for the 21-day practice window, but right now still listed on the injured reserve. Let's see what happens. He's an undrafted rookie. He was a late draft pick for the Dolphins, and he had some good preseason play. Aside from that, Bradley Chubb still not coming back. And no real status update on River Craycraft's injury, still dealing with that shoulder injury on injured reserve. Aside from that, let's move over to the Los Angeles Rams, and I'm going to keep that part brief just because we haven't talked too much about the Rams. Cameron Curl, safety, is questionable for a knee injury. Demarcus Robinson, wide receiver, is questionable for toe and hip injury. Kevin Dotson, guard, is questionable. Jonah Jackson, guard, is on injured reserve with a shoulder injury. Steve Avila, guard, is on injured reserve with a knee injury. Neville Gilmore, defensive tackle, is just listed as questionable. Rob Havenstein, offensive tackle, is out with an ankle injury. And then any other notable injuries is Tyler Higbee. He is listed as out, but this past Monday, McVay said that Higbee is ahead of schedule, returning from his torn ACL from last season. Aside from that, no other key players to talk about on the Rams. Now let's get right into it. Keys to victory. How does this Miami Dolphins team win this matchup? First and foremost, I said it last week and I'm going to say it again. You got to get these wide receivers involved. You got to get Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle involved in the pass game early and often. Last week they kind of struggled to do that, but they had a more offensive game plan of ground and pound, run the ball with Achane. And, you know, that was all fine and dandy, but then, you know, you have Raheem Mostert come in and then he fumbles the ball and spoils a golden opportunity to really get up on that Buffalo Bills team, which was desperately needed. A big separation there for the Dolphins would have been huge, and it kind of faltered their offensive attack for a moment. But, you know, back and forth game, Dolphins unfortunately did not come out on top in that one. So yeah, get Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill involved early and often, and just spread out the ball too. But definitely you want those two key guys to be the key impact players in this matchup. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, the pressure needs to be there for this Miami Dolphins pass rush. You're not really getting to quarterbacks as much as you probably want to. Hopefully, if Zach Sealer gets back, hopefully if Javon Holland gets back in the backfield as well, I think that will help this defense drastically. You have Zach Sealer helping put pressure on the quarterbacks, also stopping in the run game. Then you have Javon Holland just being a Swiss Army knife. You can do pretty much everything. So his impact will be very, very vital for this defense. Should he return? Let's hope he does. But if we keep on prolonging this and the Dolphins keep on losing, you know, just get him back whenever you can at that point and just see what happens with the season. Last but not least, limits those wide receivers for the Rams. They do have a two-headed attack in that wide receiver room with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. You saw what happened when they came back on Thursday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. Those two went off, and it was a huge impact, a huge boost to this Rams offense. It was a little bit lifeless without him, but you also have Kyron Williams there too. So really emphasis on putting pressure on Matthew Stafford, limiting Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and getting Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle activated and going and get this passing offense going. Obviously, looking forward to a nice rushing attack by Achane and the boys, but really, what I really want to see this Dolphins team to start accelerating is getting those two guys acclimated, because they haven't had too much of success this season, and it's been a big struggle for, you know, what used to be the #1 offense in the NFL. That does it here for me at SoFi Stadium. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you after the game. Peace.